Hey guys, welcome to my channel, The Mind's Eye, previously known as the Gang Stalking Playbook. If you got to this channel because of my programming, then this video will possibly not interest you. This channel, before it was The Mind's Eye, was about gang stalking. So right now I am making this video for those who are interested in gang stalking or who want to hear about it. If you're here because of the psychological programming, you're more than welcome to stay. However, I will let you know that this video is not going to be what you came here for.
Here we go.
So I received an email from a viewer on TikTok, and his name is Austin Kroger, or AK for short. So Austin Kroger, AK, if you can see this video, hello, how's it going? And AK began speaking to me in regards to his gang stalking situation. So I'm going to share two email exchanges with you. The first one is about license plates. So AK sent me this. Have you ever noticed the pink plate outline on the license plates of some of the vehicles? I've been seeing that a lot now. And now I see a majority of Texas, New York, and other out-of-state plates or no plates in the back. But mostly now it's not Nevada plates that you see mostly. Where before, I mostly saw Nevada plates and sprinkled in out-of-state. This is Vegas. There are a lot of tourists as well. So what I'm gathering from AK's email is that he's beginning to notice a lot of plates that are a lot of patterns in the plates, in the license plates. And I went through this also. I went through this where I was in San Diego, right? And then all of a sudden, I began noticing that there were a lot of out-of-state plates. And not only that, but I began noticing that a lot of the cars that were bugging me had black license plates. So then I began to make the assumption that having a black license plate had to do with gang stalking, that it was a gang stalking license plate. And I was so convinced of this because all of a sudden I began getting bothered by cars that had a black license plate. So honestly, that is part of the conditioning. So in the beginning, for like a 1 week, cars were driving too close to me, or they were getting in my way on the freeway. I was just being harassed on the freeway consistently, and I'm not sure for how long that happened because that was a long time ago. But that happened for a little bit. What this type of harassment does is that it makes you hypersensitive to any type of car driving too close to you or cutting in front of you. The truth is that there's going to be a situation where the harassment is going to stop. But you have been harassed so much on the freeway or on the street or with the turn signals or with the headlights that you're going to start interpreting normal headlights, normal use of turn signals, and people cutting in front of you as harassment. That's just part of the gang stalking experience. And the thing is that when that happens, you're going to start putting patterns in place. So, AK, if in your gang stalking you are experiencing this, where you are starting to see connections in between the license plates or the colors of the cars, just know that those connections probably existed for a little bit. So depending on how long the actual conditioning takes place, what you're experiencing right now might be real or not. If the conditioning was really successful and really like up to your ass, where you were just like conditioned the fuck out of when gang stalkers conditioned the fuck out of you, then you will probably not be able to differentiate between normal life and actual harassment. So that is the goal of that, is that you start finding connections and you're gonna feel slights that aren't necessarily slights, but your perception of people cutting in front of you, your perception of people making mistakes on the freeway is gonna be changed. You are gonna be harassed with tiny mishaps, such as someone cutting you on the freeway, things that happen every day, all the time, but you're gonna have an abundance of those. That is the harassment. So And it's gonna happen that whenever you are living a normal life and you experience someone cutting in front of you because you were pushed so much with those types of harassment on the freeway, you are gonna start assuming that that slight movement was done by a gang stalker. So that's the thing about gang stalking, is that you are bombarded with occurrences of normal life to such an extent that you start perceiving an occurrence of normal life that is bothersome to anyone as part of the harassment. That is gang stalking. It is changing your perception of normal everyday activity so that you interpret it as gang stalking activity. So the thing is that you're gonna feel like it's real and you're gonna know that someone did it on purpose. You're just gonna know. However, the possibility that the conditioning is over is very likely true. But I am not there with you to see. Gang stalking is literally the manipulation of everyday events so that whenever an everyday event happens to you, you make the assumption that it's gang stalker related. And that's gang stalking. So whenever you're exiting a parking structure, let's say, you probably have had the experience where someone is coming in and they're backing up. So they go like that and they block you for a little bit and then they back up. So I was bombarded with those. I was bombarded with cars that were backing up. And I perceive those as blocking me on purpose. Because it happened a lot of times where the person that was backing up looked at me and paused, and then they just backed up. However, because of the discomfort that it makes you feel, if you're getting gang stalked, you're gonna assume that was on purpose. I assume that was on purpose, and probably it was sometimes, and other times it wasn't. And that is where gang stalking gets you. Is that gang stalkers just keep you confused, because in between all those times that it wasn't real, 1 or 2 times are going to be gang stalking induced or produced. And they're going to let you know that it's on purpose. And they're not going to move until you know that it was on purpose. So then they are refreshing the programming. The truth is that that's probably not going to stop. So what I recommend for you is to only and exclusively assume that it's a person not doing it on purpose. The thing is that whenever someone slights you or messes with you, you're gonna feel that pull on your throat. That tells you that was a purpose. So listen to the physiological response of your body. So that is where when your mind perceives that someone is trying to do something on purpose, you're gonna feel that something in your throat, and you're gonna feel anger, and you're gonna just fucking know with all your being that it was on purpose. This is the hardest illusion to get out of. It really is. And depending of the city that you're in, and depending on how much of a target you actually are, people can be messing with you, or it is just conditioning. It got hot, sorry. So the truth is that I'm not there to see this with you, but what I do know is that it is likely just the remnants of the conditioning. If you have been gang stalked for 2 years and you move cities, you're probably not getting gang stalked anymore. You're probably not. If the gang stalking moved from one city to the other, you're just making assumptions right now. So what you have to do, this is what I did. When I was driving on my everyday, whenever I felt the pull in my throat, I told myself, don't judge. Because whenever someone does something and you automatically consider it that is gang stalking activity, you're judging the person by their actions, even though you don't know the person and you don't know why they're doing that. So you're being judgmental out of a psychological habit. If so, you were harassed to such an extent that anything that slights you automatically consider it gang stalking activity. That's why gang stalking is hard to see, because once your perception is turned one way, you have to see what happened. You have to understand perception. So let me explain. Let me explain to you judgment. So judgment is the fact that when the person cuts you in the freeway, you're assuming that's a gang stalker, that was on purpose, and that bothered me. So, but because it bothered you, it doesn't make the first 2 true. And when you think about it realistically, it is highly unlikely. It's extremely unlikely. But because of the experience, you automatically assume that, because it is a psychological habit to assume that's what's happening. So you were conditioned to make that assumption. And how you get out of it is that when be aware of all the judgments that you're making. Whenever you assume that someone is a gang stalker, you have to tell yourself, I'm not judging. I'm not judging because I don't know you. I don't know who you are. You probably have no idea who I am. And the probability that you're a gang stalker and that you're doing that on purpose is highly unlikely. That's exactly what you have to think. That has to be your thought process. Now, we're moving on the next part of our email exchange. This is what AK wrote to me. Remember how you felt at your lowest? Or when you had the awakening? These people are all watching me where I live. If you knew my story, I wish I could tell it so you understood more. Ever since we moved into these apartments, that's when I noticed everyone targeting me. Now it's gotten worse. And now they are going to my son's school. I don't go anywhere besides picking him up and dropping him off at school. I don't do drugs. I was in battle for my life from the ages of 20 to 45. I struggled with opioids. When I had my son, my life changed. He is my world. Now, my son's mom is using this against me because I told her what was happening. It's a lot. And I'm in this place where I feel helpless. An eye is constantly on me. Someone is mimicking my every move. A siren, a car, headlights every second of the day. But I have it on video that they are always watching. They keep coming out and jumping right in front of my lane or tailing me, then zooming ahead of me really fast. It's scary. My dad, the one person I just want to believe me, that's what's messing with me the most. So, AK, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. It's awful, AK. And it's especially scary when you have a son. The only thing that I can tell you is that first, no one is gonna touch you. No one is gonna do anything. No one. There cannot be any type of crime committed by a gang stalker. They don't commit crimes. Everything is done completely and absolutely legally. No one is gonna do any crime. So like, if you lose your keys, if you lose your cell phone, just know that no gang stalker will touch your shit. So if you lose your keys, don't assume a gang stalker moved my keys because they're not gonna do anything. No one is gonna break into your house. No one is gonna move your shit. None of that is gonna happen. Zero. It is highly likely that you will make that assumption. But I'm telling you right now that that is never the case. Never. Never, never, never. So never assume that a gang stalker, if someone breaks into your car, don't assume that a gang stalker broke into your car. Because that is not going to be the truth. If you assume, whatever it is that you assume, that a gang stalker did, just know that it wasn't that way. It just wasn't. Which is why I highly recommend that you get used to putting your things in one place. Because it is normal for you to start having those suspicions. Like when you're like going around and you misplace your keys and you just can't find them, your mind will automatically start thinking, oh, a gang stalker took my keys. It's part of gang stalking. So just know, no one moved anything, no one touched anything, nothing, zero. It is part of gang stalking. If, let's say that you lived with someone, then it is safe to assume that the person moved your shit. In this case, your son. But your son is not going to be a gang stalker. So don't be afraid of anything with your son. Your son is going to be completely fine. And he's not even going to have any idea of what's happening. So do not share the conversation. Do not have the conversation with your son about gang stalking. Don't mention it to him. Because the moment that you start sharing this with him, he's going to start to see it. So don't say it at all. Don't say it. Don't say it. If you feel like someone is following you, don't tell your son that you feel that someone is following you. Just don't say anything to your son. Zero. Now, let's see. In regards to the opioids, just stop. Minimize them. Minimize them, but you're just gonna have to fucking stop. You already stopped. So, but if you by any chance are so stressed that you feel that consuming opioids will help you, it won't. It won't. Nothing. You want to have your mind at 100%. If you're struggling with substance abuse, I'm gonna make a video on how to help you on psychological programming for substance abuse. That video is coming up next. I'm gonna write it tonight and I'm gonna publish it tomorrow. But you need to stop. If you haven't stopped, like, trust me, you're gonna be super thankful. You cannot be getting gang stalked and be using any type of drugs. No. So you can feel like it's a violation of your liberty and of your decision to take anything because it's your fucking body and you can do whatever you want. I agree with you. However, don't. I don't care what you have to do, but you just have to fucking stop. You just fucking have to. There's no around it, no maybe a little bit, no, nothing. Just fucking stop. Zero. Don't have any of them at your house. Don't talk to anyone who shares opioids with you. Nothing. Zero. There is no. That's gonna be the worst thing you can do. And stopping any type of drugs is gonna help you stay out of the gang stalking. For gang stalking to continue, you need a tail that people can step on. You need skeletons in the closet. When you have none, you have nothing to worry about. People are gonna think, or targets are gonna think that maybe they're getting gang stalked because of the opioid. And that's not the case. So if you're saying the truth to me or not, that's none of my business. I don't care. But I will tell you that you should not engage in any type of drug consumption. Honestly, if you gamble, stop gambling. Stop any vices. And look, you don't have to stop forever. Only stop until you're free and clear. Even though if you're already stopped, I wouldn't recommend for you to like do it again because you can, you know, just don't. It's really bad. And you know, you are not gonna miss it once you're able to understand the psychology behind it. So I'm gonna do a video on psychological programming for substance abuse. And the psychological programming is incredibly powerful, but you have to do it. You just freaking have to do it. It is based on actual psychology, but it is a new methodology that is not taught in schools. It is not some gypsy shit. This is directly how the mind perceives reality. We are literally hacking your reality with psychological programming. It's more like reality hacking. And in another video, some other time, I'm gonna tell you why it's hacking your reality. Even though it's a concept that once you grasp, you cannot unsee it. But yeah, so that's coming next. Now, let me see. Now we're moving on to the sirens. So give me 1 second, my throat is dry. So the sirens, if you're noticing sirens a lot, it's probably because at one point you were conditioned with an excessive amount of sirens, or you were in a place where there were a lot of sirens around you. So I have like Karen here right now. Can I speak to your manager? Oh my god. Okay, well, anyways, okay, so. Okay, all right. So what happened with the sirens, if they're beginning to bother you, it's the following. Either you were parked in a spot, or you lived somewhere where there was a lot of problems with the police. And this is when you were getting gang stalked and you began making connections where you made the assumption that the sirens were because of you, because you were already getting gang stalked. So it was logical at that point to assume that the sirens are part of the gang stalk. Now, the sirens bugging you, that happened so many times, and you assume that it was gang stalking so much that you created yourself the psychological habit of assuming that the sirens are in spite of you, that they are to bug you because they bugged you for so long, and you assume that they were purposely done to bother you. That regardless of where you live, regardless of where you move, whenever you hear a siren, you are gonna know that it was gang stalking activity. You program yourself to make that assumption. First, gang stalkers program you, and then you program yourself because you start making connections. And the more connections that you make, you're gonna start assuming that more things are gang stalking related. There's gonna be a point where you're not getting gang stalked. However, you are gonna have built so many connections that you're gonna be stuck in gang stalking forever, unless you understand the truth, that it is all psychological programming, and someone might have done it to you, or some of it you did it to yourself. That's it, and that's the truth. However, I assume that, I cannot assume anything of that. I was gonna say, I assume that someone did it to you, but I don't know. So I cannot make any assumptions. I can just tell you what could have caused it. So it was either you unknowingly made the assumption too many times, and maybe it had nothing to do with gang stalking, but you just made the assumption. And you made the assumption so many times when you heard sirens, that whenever you hear sirens, your mind automatically pulls up the thought. It's a gang stalker, you feel psychological agony, and you have that, oh, it was on purpose. So whenever you hear sirens, your mind, you were conditioned for your mind to pull up those thoughts at the cue of a siren. That is called a psychological circuit or a mental circuit. So check out my videos in my YouTube, in this channel, so you can understand what a thought circuit is. So it's a thought circuit here on my channel, but thought circuits can be named in so many ways. It can be named just a habitual thought to a cue. It is a psychological programming. So that is how strong psychological programming is that it can convince you of something like that. So once you understand psychological programming, you understand all of gang stalking. Now, the same thing with the headlights. ¿Le subo más? ¿Hablo más despacito? So, ya casi acabo. No, que ya casi acabo yo para que no...
No, ya no voy a meter. O me gusta comer estos chinos, porque ¿cómo tragar? ¿Cómo le hacen para tragar tanto? Y si meten un huevo entero en la boca.
Ah, sí. ¿Has visto lo que se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Balut. ¿Sabes qué es balut? Balut es como un huevo que tiene el pollito adentro.
Ah, sí,
Y luego que se lo comen así los filipinos. So that's my mom, and she's watching her Facebook shorts or Facebook reels. Anyways, so same thing with the headlights. You were harassed with headlights to such an extent that whenever you see headlights during the day, you know it's gang stalking activity. And psychological programming goes with you everywhere. So gang stalking is psychological programming. And you were programmed by someone unknowingly that to think, oh, it's a gang stalker whenever you see a headlight. That's on purpose. And you probably even feel psychological pain. And you just think it's a gang stalker. They want me to do this, they want me to do that. So that is gang stalking. It is all psychological programming. So that is the truth behind gang stalking. It's that it is a lot of psychological programs, one on top of the other. And you were trained in so many aspects of everyday life that once you have so many, your mind starts creating more automatically. And unless you understand psychological programming, you're never going to be able to get out of it. Like this, I thought this was a gang stalking sign. Oh my God, I almost forgot about that. So one time I was walking into my car and then I saw a syringe on the floor right at the entrance. I looked down and then as soon as I looked up, I saw someone going like that. And during that time, I was hanging out with junkies who were pushing me to shoot up. I never have, never will, no thanks. And I swear to God, gang stalkers were pushing this on me hard, guys. Like hard. But the thing is that my dad was a heroin addict and he died from it. So I promised myself, I will never ever shoot up because I saw him, And thank you, Dad. That is what kept me. Well, that was one of the strongest convictions that I had. That I said, never will I ever do that. Not in a million years. Never, 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 never. And there's nothing in this world that can sway me from that. But let me tell you, gang stalkers try pushing that shit hard on me, No thanks. But so anyways, after that, after seeing the syringe, I began noticing a lot of people just doing this. And that became it, and just that's all I had to see. I just had to see a syringe in front of my car to make the assumption that this was a gang stalking sign. And then I began seeing it everywhere, but because I was like, well, I don't ever just like scratch my inner arm like that, but I just did it now. And if I did it now, I'm sure it happens to everyone. And then I remember I saw it, and every time I saw that, I began seeing. I made that assumption. I made the assumption that it was a gang stalking sign. And I'm gonna tell. So I don't know if that was purposeful or not, because when a while ago a roommate said he made the gang stalking grin, and he said orange, and I was like, what the fuck is up with that dude? How stupid. So then I walked into my car, and then I saw an orange cone like on the entrance of my car, and immediately after that I began noticing people with orange vests. So I already knew what was going on, but that is how gang stalking or gang stalkers condition you slowly, one trigger after the other. So only because I knew what was happening, I was never conditioned to see the orange. But the gang stalking grin and someone telling you a word, that's how the conditioning starts. So like, I'm gonna tell you another story. When I was working at O'Reilly Auto Parts, my coworker said, red hair. This big dude, fucking Juan. If you can hear this, Juan, fuck you, I hate you. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, if so he said red hair with like the gang stalking, and then as soon as after he said that, this girl named Chanel, who's like this ghetto fabulous girl who was also a gang stalker. If you're seeing this, fuck you, bitch. You're a cunt. I hope you die in that your cars keep failing you. Sorry. So I'm saying that out of fucking, I mean, of course I'm fucking pissed. Who wouldn't be pissed if fucking people around you are trying to fuck you in your mind? Or, you know, fuck you guys. Not my audience, but my coworkers and Chanel. Ugh. So, okay, sorry about that. And that was, I know that was purposeful because when Chanel came in after Juan said red hair, she was like laughing. She had this face like, you know, when like someone is doing something they're not supposed to be doing. That's the face that the bitch made. And you know, I was like, ugh, I already knew from the orange comment. I already knew what was happening. So, but even though I knew what was happening, I began noticing the red hair. Like 3 people and then a redhead back to back came into the store. And all of them were redheads. That was an intent of conditioning for me to think that every person with a red hair is a gang stalker. So that is how the conditioning goes to little things. So if you're in a target, that is how you're getting conditioned when gang stalkers don't know what to condition you to. Because at that point, I already knew. I was so good at pretending that the code words meant nothing. That no one knew what else to say. So for like the past year of gang stalking, gang stalkers were literally just trying to figure out a fucking word to trigger me. Because I was completely indifferent to any word. Nothing worked. And yeah, so that is gang stalking programming at its finest, when the target knows exactly what's going on. Nothing that gang stalkers do will work. However, I left because it was just fucking annoying. It was just fucking annoying. You know, I used to love the people that worked there, but you know, gang stalkers think that you're stupid.
Bueno.
They just assume that you're dumb. Alrighty, well, AK, thank you so much for writing. If there are any targets that need more explaining on psychological programming, on what gang stalking is about, or you would like to hear more about my experiences, or if there's any way, shape, or form that I can help you understand gang stalking, please feel free to send me an email to anonymousmankindproject@gmail.com. It's on the screen, anonymousmankindproject@gmail.com, or feel free to put it in the comments. I will in the future add more ways that you guys can get in contact with me. But right now, this is the only way that I am giving you access to me. So again, it's anonymousmankindproject@gmail.com, or you can message me here on the GANGSTALKING PLAYBOOK YouTube channel. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Efren Rodriguez, and this is The Mind's Eye, previously known as